Today's lecture is about improvement in writing skills. We have spent 2 to 3 days on creativity, that how to be creative and how to enhance the idea of creativity and how to become a bit creative in your writing or your spoken skills. So today about improvement. Once we are talking about the creativity, it is already, let's suppose it is already over there. Now, what are the skills that has to be adopted in order to show it in your writing? So there are basically four important things or four major things you can say, which when we talk about improvement in writing skills, those things are actually very important. The first point, avoid contractions. Now, what contraction is? The first point is about avoid contractions. Now, what contractions is, as you can see on the left side of this table, they are the words which are contracted, like gonna, wanna, shouldn't, couldn't, wasn't. These words are basically known as the contracted words. Now, the point is that why do we need to avoid these words? Any idea to any one of you? Jikra?
मैम क्योंकि ये इनफॉर्मल है, इनफॉर्मल लग रहे हैं, वी गोना, आई गोना, आई वांट. So
Good.
if we use in formal situations, so we can use going to, want to.
Exactly. When you talk about your spoken, somehow it is acceptable. And the reason why I am saying somehow, because if you are talking to someone informally, to your family, to your friends, such slangs, yeah, such contractions are actually used over there and it is acceptable. But when we talk about our formal communication, either that is your formal spoken communication or your written communication, that has to be always formal. And in formal communication, we are not supposed to use slangs. We cannot say pop out instead of quit. We cannot say fizzy drinks instead of cold drinks. So when we talk about formal communication, we have to stick to the rules and some sort of formalities in your spoken and in your written. So contraction, while we use gonna instead of going to, it basically impose a clumsy look of our spoken or our written skills. Writing or speaking or communication, basically communication is said to be a skill because not everybody could master it. When it is about writing skills, so take writing as a skill, and you can only be skilled in writing if you know that what should be used at which place. You cannot use gonna in your written form, because if we talk about writing skills, then the skill is something which we be using apart from our family or our informal communication. So wanna, instead of wanna, we have to use want to. Then there is another word, gotcha. I got you. That means I got you, and that means I understand. So instead of using those slangs, rather the contracted sounds, patterns, yeah, contracted words, we need to use the proper words which are supposed to be used over there, like the most appropriate words. Sajid, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. My question is, how do I know this word is formal and this is how can I?
So your question is, how can you know this word is formal or informal? Definitely through the way we use slangs. You might have seen the word pop out instead of quit, usually on the windows. When you open, this thing appears. Basically in American English we have many slangs. There is a word shut up. In English it is considered to be a very bad thing if you ask someone shut up, but in American English it is considered to be a slang. Like shut up, when you say someone shut up, that means ke, wow, this is amazing, it is unbelievable. So these kind of words which are apparently showing that these words are not appropriate, but you use them. Same is the way with there are many new words which are
Ma'am,
evolving,
can you me?
like don't. Ji Sajid, please speak up.
मैम ये जो वर्ड है गेट आउट,
सॉरी,
ये
आपकी आवाज सही नहीं आ रही.
फॉर्मल इनफॉर्मल है. अगर हम किसी को गेट आउट कहते.
तो, हाँ जी जी, साजिद प्लीज कंटिन्यू करें, आपकी आवाज पहले प्रॉपरली नहीं आ रही थी.
मैम ये जो वर्ड है गेट आउट, ये फॉर्मल है या इनफॉर्मल है?
This is formal, but this is unethical. Formal है, but it is unethical.
मैम अब हम नए नए इंग्लिश सीख रहे हैं तो मैं कैसे पता चलेगा करनी पड़ेगी या कोई कोई बुक पढ़नी पड़ेगी या क्या?
Definitely by नहीं, books में I never recommend books to read in English, especially because English हो या कोई भी language हो, books never work. In that way, people expect them to be worked. So because the reason is that you can never learn any language through any book. Book is just a set of piled elements which are there in the language, but you cannot actually claim that you can learn language through any book. The more you practice, the more you will be able to learn things. Let's suppose if you want to consult any book to learn English, French, German, or whatever the language is, but the actual language, it actually keeps on evolving itself. So the English which we used to use 20 years ago, that is no more in function. The English which we used to, or even the Punjabi which we used to use 10 to 20 years ago, that is not in function now. Point is that a language has to evolve itself. Otherwise, it is considered to be a dead language. And by dead language doesn't mean कि वो कोई इंसान है या कोई physical appearance that is physically dead. Dead language means no matter how many people are speaking that language, but there is no advancement in the language. So that language is a dead
करना
language.
पड़ेगा इसके लिए?
Ji, Ahmad, what you want to ask?
मैडम मैम एक तो स्लैंग को थोड़ा डिफाइन कर दें।
अच्छा, slang को और
उसके अलावा मैम मैं एक तो उस दिन वो टॉपिक रह गया था मैम,
इस
क्या
टॉपिक में
पॉसिबिलिटी
आपको
नहीं है
start
कि
करना।
हमारी क्लासेस को ठीक
जी,
है मैम वो एंड पे करते हैं। उसके अलावा मैम अगर ये जैसे अभी एक लॉकडाउन चल रहा है तो इस लॉकडाउन में अगर आप फ्री हैं तो क्या क्लासेस एक्सटेंड नहीं हो सकती? मतलब एक वीक के बाद हमारी मैसेज मिल गया था कि आपकी स्पोकन क्लासेस ख़त्म हो गई हैं, तो मैम पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं है
मेरे
कि
ख्याल
एक
से
से
ये
2 मंथ अगर हैं आपके पास टाइम हो तो
पहली
ये
तो बात
चल
ये है
सकता है?
कि ये मुझ पे डिपेंड नहीं करता है। आप मेरे ख्याल से बिफोर द स्टार्ट आपको बताया गया होगा कि क्या टाइम फ्रेम है इस क्लास का, ये कि क्या विंडो है, क्या स्लॉट अवेलेबल है। तो ये फाउंडेशन पे डिपेंड करता है कि वो कितने देर की क्लासेस होल्ड करवा सकते हैं या करवाते हैं। सो इट इज नॉट डेफिनेटली अप टू मी बिकॉज द मेन सोर्स इज
ओके
द
मैम।
फाउंडेशन। यू नीड टू आस्क देम। अच्छा, एंड यू वर आस्किंग अबाउट स्लैंग्स
ओके
वो वर्ड्स होते हैं जो ऑफिशियल या डिक्शनरी वर्ड्स के बजाय हम जो वर्ड्स यूज करते हैं for the social purpose, that is slang. For example, there is a common slang which we use daily, almost daily. Cold drinks are known as fizzy drinks, yeah, alcohol ko hard drinks. So these kind of uh, words are known as slangs which we use instead of using the dictionary entities. Dictionary entities are the entities of the words which are there in the dictionary, and apart from those words, if we use any new word, that's a slang. That is for you can say social purpose, or a society or a group of people create that slang that is only understood by those people.
ओके मैम।
All right, so now let's move to the next slide, or the next point rather. Usage of there is and there are. As you can see, the first sentence, it is there is an exhibition at the hotel, and in the next line it is written the hotel is holding an exhibition. What is the difference between those two sentences?
Ma'am, can I speak?
Please.
Ma'am, active voice and passive voice. I think so, ma'am.
Apart from that, no.
ओके मैम।
Ma'am, the above sentence shows the active. There is an exhibition at the hotel, and the hotel is holding the exhibition is a passive voice. The subject is the first line, the hotel, and the exhibition is the last.
Okay. Sajid, you want to say something?
यस मैम। मैम ये एक्टिव वॉइस पैसिव वॉइस से अगर साइड पे होके देखा जाए तो ये जो पहले वाला सेंटेंस है देयर इज एन एग्जीबिशन एट द होटल, इसमें यह है कि होटल में एक एग्जीबिशन हो रहा है लेकिन होटल वाले नहीं करवा रहे। नीचे वाला जो वो ये बता रहा है कि होटल में ही एग्जीबिशन हो रहा है और होटल वाले ही अरेंज करवा रहे हैं, मैनेजमेंट भी होटल वाले।
Okay. So the point is that both of you are correct. Grammatically, you both are correct. But as we can see, the heading which is mentioned over there is usage of there is and there are. You need to avoid that things because it actually creates an impact of informal communication. Instead of using there is or there is a festival in the park, so instead of these kind of things, yeah, there is an exhibition in the hotel, you can use it in a more proper way by using or adding different sort of vocabulary items. The vocabulary item which has been changed over there is the hotel is holding an exhibition. Now, as you can see, it is again contracted. And one thing which I would like to mention over here, आप में से कुछ लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा, there are 7 C's of communication. Is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Almost
पढ़ा है.
सबने पढ़ा होगा. I think आपके सेकंड सेमेस्टर में होगा ये, सेकंड सेमेस्टर ऑफ इंग्लिश, where it is technical and
Yes,
report
ma'am.
writing kind of stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
So
उसी में ही
that
है.
7 C's of communication is basically what? 7 words starting from the letter
यस मैम,
C
मैं
and
आपसे बोल रहा था.
Ji Sajid, what do you want to say? Sajid, you were saying something?
मैम मैंने कहा था कि आपसे ही पढ़े थे ये 7 चीज.
अच्छा, आप मेरे स्टूडेंट हैं?
यस
I
मैम.
didn't know that. कौन सी डिपार्टमेंट में?
मैम मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग 2016
University of
बैच में
Lahore.
आपसे पढ़ा था यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लाहौर में फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर में.
Okay, okay, okay. Got it. I know आपको कौन सा वाला बैच है, ठीक है.
यस मैम.
So yeah, good to know and good to see you people over here again. So those 7 C's are all about the 7 words starting from the letter C, and basically those are for communication purpose. That you there's a heading or there is a point which is conciseness, and conciseness means to contract your spoken or your written. Instead of using extraordinary words, try to shorten the limit of words and make your things or your ideas or your conversation clear within the given limit. So same rule is applied over here. Instead of using there is or there are, try to use the proper word like exhibition is always held. There are few things or the few events are always held. It doesn't happen. Happening is something else and holding is something else. So here the the proper word or the most appropriate word which is used is the hotel is holding an exhibition instead of there is an exhibition, because there is an exhibition is a way formal than that of holding an exhibition. And by holding an exhibition, the reader or the listener knows that the person knows where to use which word. Exhibitions are held, festivals are held, events are held. It doesn't happen. Exhibits happen, but festivals doesn't happen. So that is the difference. Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Question till here? No question? Ji Sajid?
ऐसा कहा जाए कि इंटेंशनली में आती है और जो एक्सीडेंटली
Exactly.
हो जाती है
That
वो
is what
हैपनिंग में
I
आती
mean
है.
by accident. Accidentally things happen. Intentionally things doesn't happen that way. Yeah, there is another again sentence. He happened to be a good student, but that is in some other sense. Otherwise, things are always arranged and intentionally they are always held.
यस.
Ikra, you want to say something?
No, ma'am, I got it.
All right. So the next slide is about, yeah. So the next slide is avoid irrelevant words. Now again, somehow the same rule is applied. The only difference between the previous slide was there is, yeah, there are, we use multiple sentences with there is a class or there is something. So we need to only avoid there is or there are things. But now we are supposed to avoid irrelevant words. As you happen to see that there are many words which we use in our daily communication. For example, there are people who use the word like everywhere, and the word literally is again used everywhere just to make your English conversation a bit more fancy, a bit more attractive. So these are the irrelevant words, rather the trash words which we actually contain in our communication. We think that we are looking so cool, but actually we are not. We actually not looking that much attractive to the people. So those words are supposed to be avoided. For example, and apart from those, there are multiple other things which needs to be avoided. For example, there is mention a lot of students were facing many issues. Now, the words are actually bombarded over there in the first sentence, a lot of students. Instead of lot of students, we may use many students. Okay, both means the same. And again, we know the rule that we need to contract our conversation as much as we could, yet making it a meaningful conversation. So instead of using a lot of students, we're facing many issues. We know that it is a part of the past and we need to make it definite. If we are saying we're facing many issues, those that is, as you can see, in a past continuous tense. You don't know the definite end of that story, that they were facing what happened next, and maybe वो face करते रहे या वो face नहीं करते, what was the actual picture. Instead of making the reader or putting the reader or your listener in an ambiguous position that he or she is unable to define or conclude that what happened next, give them a clear cut, sharp, chiseled way that this happened. And the clear or the certain picture is, many students had issues. They used to have issues, but now issues are sorted. This is what the next sentence means. So always be definite, and instead of putting irrelevant trash words in your conversation, try to eliminate or remove all those words in order to make your conversation proper, decent, and certain. Try to add the element of certainty in your entire spoken, and that certainty comes when you are certain about your ideas, that what actually you want to communicate or convey to the next person. Your ideas have to be certain, and there must not remain any sort of ambiguity on the part of your listener or your reader. Things are clear?
Clear, ma'am.